Hey everybody, welcome. Come on in. So today we're going to take a look at Downcrawl by Aaron A. Reed. This is the second edition of the, as he calls it, toolkit. And this is something that can be paired with any fantasy system. One of the recommendations in there is the Black Hack. I just got this from Noble Knight Games. And it has a little fate condensed system of its own if you want to use it as it's a lone document, I guess. It also, well, it doesn't come with, but I ordered also 2 decks with it. We have the Downcrawl deck, the Downcrawl Encounters deck, and on the way, and I mention this only as an endorsement of the decks that are compatible with Downcrawl, the Downcrawl Down Deeper deck. When I first read the description of it, I said, that's okay. It's because it was sort of like, yeah, did you like the Downcrawl deck? Because this is an Oracle deck. Well, if you want to get even a little more quirky, the Downcrawl Deeper deck. And I was like, no, that's okay. And then I used this and I was like, give me everything. In fact, there's a journal for this game that was only in the Kickstarter. If you have it, let me know. I have barters to make. Anyway, so I'm going to show you these, and I have to say, and I hope I haven't used too much hyperbole on this channel to lose your I hope I haven't cried cards too many times for you to believe me, but this is one of the best Oracle card systems ever. It's so awesome. The Encounter deck is even cooler. Can't wait to show you those. Downcrawl is actually second edition, and the first edition here I only learned about a month ago, and I ordered this off of drive-thru. I went into the Manalone members Discord, and I said, does anybody know about this? I think it'd make a great solo supplement. And one of the Davids, I think, Australian Davids, we have about 8 of them, said, oh yeah, I've heard of it, and I kickstarted the second edition, and it's on its way, and it's got cards. And I was like, I'm sorry? And nobody told me this? I almost put the whole Discord on probation. Anyways, if you want to join, please feel welcome, because whenever I have to meet with anybody on a disciplinary basis, it only happens like 3 or 4 times a week. It's a learning experience. Also, keeping our page today will be compliments of Max Moon Games in Minnesota, which I have some awesome news coming up, as well as a playthrough of the second printing of Basilisk. That's right. Basilisk has a second printing, which means we can finally slice up all the little paper tokens and everything in the first one like it was meant to be played. We'll do a playthrough of that soon. But this is a handy-dandy bookmark for 12 years, which has some different advancement systems on the back. Thank you, Max Moon. And like I said, some exciting news to share about that soon. Also here, these are cards that I printed out. This is to track the different people that we encounter in the deep down, which is the area that you explore with this, as well as the locations. And then for solo mode, they actually say, well, you can make some index cards to talk about like the different story beats, but me never being satisfied to use a manual system when something that I can digitally print out will do. I actually hacked a story deck. So I created so there's ongoing threads. We can check them off when they're completed. And then I also modified the back of the card so that it has like different options that are there. This will all make sense soon. But anyways, I just wanted to say that up front so you don't think that these are part of the purchase bounty. Although, Aaron A. Reed, if you're watching this, I think these would be a great thing to make if you don't already have them. If you happen to have any of the journals laying around and you want to, make great friends with a very, very famous solo YouTuber, just let me know. Now, in addition to this second edition coming out, the part where I said, hey, I think this would make a great solo supplement, well, there is now a solo play section in this, which is what we're going to use to build it out. Now, this is so big. There's 4 defining factors of the deep down, or just the down. The down is vast, it is challenging, it is weird, and it is isolated. The vastness of it makes it so that like we can't do a traditional dungeon map, with hallways and rooms. It's kind of like if you ever played Colossal, the scale of it, each room is like an entire world. It's sort of like that here. We name the different volumes as they're called, kind of like biomes, but they're not always environmentally distinct. It could be like a certain idea, a certain people there, a certain cataclysm that's happened there. They are, their relative location between them, the connections they have, all of that is fluid. And so what it ends up looking like, rather than a dungeon map, is sort of like the meme with Charlie Day, where he has like the conspiracy lines written out on the chalkboard. I think there's actually an example of it. Yeah, right here. So it'll look like this. The map will look like this. And to track this, I have the dungeon drafter with my name here, Adinoki Mushina. And the dungeon drafter, I don't know. I've never seen anything by this before, but tell me if you think I'm onto something here. Don't these look similar? And then the company for this is the Black Label, which is not this company, but the company for this one is the Hack Shack. Anyways, this is just a cool thing. Also got off drive-through that has different maps and grids in it. It's pretty affordable as well. So that should be available. I'll link it below if I remember. So what we'll do is we'll just do a session 0 and see how we would create an adventure for that. And then we'll see. I would love to use Black Hack. I really enjoy it. I read through it and I thought it's just one of those great, easy systems where you can get up and go right away, kind of like Into the Odd or Troika or Cairn. And but I'm interested in seeing if we need it. And I know that there is, like I said, a sliver of Fate in here, which is an adaptation of Fate condensed to be used for this. But how far can we go without even having to rely on combat systems or anything like that? This seems like something that I was thinking about this the other day. Combat systems are usually the central concern, the central focus of learning a system, TTRPG system. And I was like, how often do I get in a fight in real life? Because I don't think I've been in a physical fight that wasn't with like a toddler, wailing on me because they think it's funny. My nephew, when he was little, he used to just, he loved it. He just did elbow drops. But other than that, I don't think I've gotten in a fight in like 15 years. Now, if this was during high school, I got in a lot of fights then, but I haven't really been in a physical fight, and yet it's the main focus of so many things. And so I just been thinking about that a little bit and about how much I generally dislike combat in role-playing games and wishing that there was a better way. But if we need to, we'll throw hands and swords and all of that. Before I get into it, I just want to show you how these Oracle decks work. I also want to put on some tunes here. We got a new album actually from Crowcrypt. Thank you again, Crowcrypt, for letting the Man Alone channel play music. Please check out the link below if you're interested. Extremely non-apropos for right now when I'm recording this, but it's still 3 minutes before Easter. So this is Swordlender, Where the Heathens Roam. And we'll listen through to this album here. Let's make sure the sounds are okay. That looks good. Maybe a little bit less. Great. So All right, first we'll do the Oracle deck. So the Oracle deck, whoa, that's pretty cool, but maybe a little loud on my end. Okay, so the Downcrawl deck, this is the only card that this is what the back of it looks like. Otherwise, the back of the cards are actually the ones that have the Downcrawl written on them, but they're in the center of all of these other things. And you can see, like, here's a place, here's an urban place, here is a person, people, terrain, special terrain, volume, theme, either or right there, and a prop. All right. And you can also see that there are arrows pointing in a certain direction with them. And the reason for that is, you know, if we draw this one and we put it here. Let me see if I can get a little closer. There we go. All right, so and we put it right there. The next card that we draw, we want to actually flip it, the back of this card, and we can line up by color here. And so if the place that we did was a wishing well, then what we do here is we line up one of these to the wishing well, and we can have a golden wishing well, or perhaps a shunned guild hall, or a golden guild hall. Same thing with anything else. If you have an idea on one card and you want to attach a quality to it, Quicksilver Wasteland. Hey, that's pretty cool, right? An action. You can even sort of like tag these across the board. So where have we just entered? Well, of course, we have just entered the legendary the legendary Ashlands. So it's super cool in that, like, you can see your ideas forming in a modular way. There's tons of ideas on each card. And then some of them also have this like arrow here, which means, oh, a complex relationship with a resource or an idea. So we can say, well, these people here have a complex relationship with, and then we draw the next card and look for resource, which I think is actually on the back here. Yeah, that's interesting. A complex relationship with patience. All right. And so say that we wanted to, you could just pull it from that card. They want to destroy patience, or you can do an idea. So they have a complex relationship with, let's draw another card. The idea of witches. See that? And so you can really just like build these out and put these cards together and create like a whole entire like idea map with all of them. And then you also see on the back of them, there's a yes/no oracle on each of them and a dice roll. And a little bit more of a sort of oracle directive. And an unrelated problem is also solved. And so it's more than just yes and, yes, except, etc. It builds out that oracle even more. Now, for how cool that is, it gets even cooler when it comes to the encounter deck, because the encounter deck has 4 types of encounters, all right? So the cards are, again, face down with Downcrawl facing up. And here, this is like the back of the card where it says Downcrawl. And so we will pull a card, and it will tell us what type of encounter we have. Well, it's a travel encounter of a location. And on the bottom here, it's an ambiance and a place. So we pull out a place, and it's a prison. And then the ambiance is, it is divided. All right, a divided prison. From these cards, you can continue to build things forward. Now, a big part of this game is fungus. It's like one of the most important implied setting things of this entire game is that there's lots of different fungi around in this place, and collecting it for its powers, for its currency, all of that stuff is a core part of the deep down. Because if you think about it, they have no sunlight, they have no oceans, it's in the core of the earth. And so this place has to totally rely on the things that grow there. And so if you wanted to, you can also see on each of these location cards is like a type. When you forage, you go a fungal foresting, all right? And so it has a domain and fungal type plus fungus. And so you could do The fungus is crunchy terpenes. All right. Now, this is not even the coolest one because some of the encounters are even more exciting than a travel location. One of my favorites is when we find a challenge. A challenge goes here, and it says, travel encounter challenge. First, draw a situation and choose one of the 4 options, right? So we'll draw a card, and in the middle is always these situations. So we have 8-sided pillar, 1,000 feet high, same declaration carved in 8,000 languages. Pretty cool. Or narrow, slippery stairs, or a rope across a hazard to precariously balance reward, or a lonely mushroom farmer will make trades for good stories. Let's use this rope across the hazard here. I'll just make sure that this music isn't overwhelming. It's very good, but we just want to make sure that the balance is good. This is one of the most difficult challenges I have as a video maker. All right, so we have this rope across the hazard. So there's some sort of hazard beneath. Now, if we wanted to know what that hazard was, we can go back to the Oracle deck, right? And we can shuffle it up, and we can draw a card, and we can look around for anything that might fit this, right? So seismically unstable, right? That could be something that informs it. Or on the other side here, crystals. Okay, so maybe there's crystal shards underneath that if you don't make it across this hazard, you can fall and get a crystal tip on your bee cheek. All right, so now we have this rope across the hazard, and we have also then an opportunity. And so we can draw an opportunity from the encounter deck here, and let's check out what we have. Well, the opportunity is here. The opportunity is tokens of safety. They allow you to remove a danger. And so dangers are a sort of abstracted clock, I would call them, or a meter in this game to, like, if you have dangers, it will augment the types of threats you encounter and how often, and if you can convert it into something else, or if like a challenge turns into trouble or an encounter. And so if we get across this rope, across this hazard with the crystals underneath, then we can get to this token of safety. But if not, we have a threat on the other side of old foes, returning villains previously defeated, evildoers from the player character's past. And so you can see that this literally creates this box here where it's this situation. If we traverse it successfully, we have this opportunity. And if we don't, we run into these old foes. Okay. And so this is even, there's multiple ways that you could turn these cards around. You could put the threat this way. It has the places and the ambiance if it's a location. It also has the fungus if you're doing fungus foraging here. I'm sorry, I did that right out of view of the camera. All right. And then it's different too for the different encounters. So for instance, a trouble encounter, that's the really tough one. All it has is a threat. And then I think there's, fortune. Fortune only has an opportunity. So obviously the least common are fortunes and trouble, because those really don't have, we don't want that, that's sort of a bigger situation that has lower odds. That's the worst that's ever been described, but I think you get my drift. So how much we'll use these cards today? Well, we'll see. And the only, obviously it doesn't make a lot of sense for me to talk them up so much and then say, well, we'll see if we use them. The only reason is just in terms of space we have. When I, if we had a big table here, I think that works best. But the tables in the book, if you don't want to buy or you're not in a place where you want to shell out, I mean, it's only $20 per deck. And right now there's a deal that you can get all 3 decks for $50. But even so, $50 is a lot of money. If you're not in a place right now where you get that, maybe you only want PDF. I have really good news. Okay. So the first thing is that everything that's on these cards, or at least comparable, is available in the PDF. That's good news number 1 if you're looking to save some money. And then good news number 2 is that this is, not even kidding, the first game that I have preferred to use the PDF. Usually I do not like playing from PDFs. I don't know what it is. My brain cannot like learn in the same way from a PDF. And it's probably because I'm 40 and reading a file rather than a sheet of paper was not even something that I did in college. It was not until like graduate school that there would be things where we would just read a PDF. There used to be something called a library reserve, where a professor would put something on reserve at the library and you had to go like share it with your classmates and take it out for like 2 hours. So that was just something I'm not used to. I think if I was used to it, it would be better for trees, and I tried to do it as much as I can. But when I really want to learn something, I got to have it in my hands, with the exception of this. And why? Because this is one of the most awesomely hyperlinked PDFs. And there's all these anchor points right here, like, oh, we want to spend a day on the march. You can click right there. It'll take you right to it. And then, oh, if you want a day of rest, how do I do in camp? You click right on in camp. It brings you to it. And even in the solo section as well, which I think is around page 90. Yeah, solo play. These are all the solo moves right here, and they're all linked, right? So I want to get oriented to a new place. Well, let's set the scene. And then I want to find inspiration, right? And I want to find a quality, and it goes right to it. There's also a portent system that's really cool. And I'm not going to do the full explanation of how it works now. We'll see if we get into it when we're playing. But I really like what it does, because it basically lines up some sort of negative outcome, so to speak. Like, how should we say here? I'm trying to figure out where portents would be. What section would it be in? It's a table that has these negative things that can happen. Okay, so it's like something's coming down the line, so to speak. All right, so I'll say, like, if I'm just making this up, if there was a portent that was like for a storm coming, it would have 3 portents, and the portents would kind of like, here we go. All right, so say we roll we'll roll a D66. And by the way, because I love all of you, I have purchased rubber silicone dice so that I can roll them without breaking your ears. So say that we're going to roll a D6. This is the problem with silicone dice. It's very bouncy. I should have had my thing. 1 second. All right. Are you kidding? I must really love you. Oh, great. 55. Okay. So, pathway dangerously eroded. And we look at this here, pathway dangerously eroded, and we can roll a 1d3. Obviously, we don't have to. We could pick one of those. But, we'll just roll this here too. So 1, all right. We note that we mark down this number right here. So we're on 55, and we mark down, because we rolled under a 1, it says 3, 6, okay? And the portent for that, it is referent to something, all right? But we don't necessarily know what it is. And look at how good this is. Then you can like return to travel encounter or add a danger. When a danger is revealed, ask threat using the saved index. All right. So I'm worried that I've overcomplicated it, but here's the deal. So we have 3, 6 written down, and this is for pathway dangerously eroded. So if we go to indicate threat, if we look at 3, 6, we've had that number all along, but we didn't know what it was. And then when that portent reveals itself, when we have like enough of the threats of damage or whatever, then all of a sudden all this stuff happens and a flash flood, and that's what's eroding the pathway. You see that? Is that like it is a sort of system where you have a rising threat, but you don't necessarily know the exact nature of that threat. So it could be, we know that the pathway is dangerously eroded, but we're like, why is that? And then as our threat meter or whatever goes up and then we reveal it, boom, it's a flash flood. So anyways, I thought that was really cool. Maybe it didn't make a lot of sense right now, but we'll try to see if we can make sense of it by getting a little further into it. All right, so let me move this over here. Ooh, this song is awesome. All right, so let's set ourselves up for success here. All right, so we basically let's go over some of like the basic how to crawl here. All right, I should mention that there is a with the Downcrawl deck, there is on the website, I think it's downcrawl.techstories.com. If you do /DCW, I think, because it's Downcrawl Worlds, it's sort of like a group world building party game that you can play, which is really fun if you're more interested in that piece of it. All right, Downcrawl's engine is a combination of moves. That should sound familiar if you've played Powered by the Apocalypse, I think Fate, Forged in the Dark games. Instructions to follow when a particular situation arises, such as planning a journey or arriving in a new place, will have specific ones for solo play, and then tables, which are the random generators. All moves and tables are indexed in the back of the book. Each move guides you through a particular situation you might encounter during your exploration of the Down, which is the deep, deep down. This is the place where we are traveling. Moves appear as boxed instructions. See Plan Your Journey for an example move. Let's check it out. When you prepare for a journey to another volume, first consider whether it's possible to get there from here based on the destination's remoteness. Now, remoteness is how many connections it has. If it's a known place or you've ever been to the volume, you can reach it. If it's sheltered, it must connect to your current volume via a series of routes. And if it's hidden, you have to be right next to it. So you determine the number of journey steps by starting with 3. And then you go through this little algorithm here. And that will tell you on these cards. So we probably need a journey card, I think. Or I think on the back of the map deck. Oh, okay. So we'll list out, add empty boxes down the left side of the card, one for each journey step. As you log, as your journey progresses in each box, you will either log success by checking the box or failure by Xing out. Put a second line around the final box. It will determine the ultimate success or failure of your journey. And so I think we'll probably just need an index card for this because this looks actually distinct, which I went through the whole thing of printing out the story cards so that I could feel official, but that's okay. These probably work better because they're a little bit longer. All right. And then so the move that we would start our day with is a day on the march. And when each day of the journey begins, first determine the terrain you pass through by picking the first option that matches. If this is the first day of the journey, pick a terrain detail from your starting volume. We'll come back to this. This is just basically an idea of what a move looks like. It moves your story in a certain direction, okay? So, let's see here. A table is a collection of random ideas or prompts. Some moves or rules will tell you to consult a particular table. This is called asking the table and will always appear in the format ask reputation. The small number is the table's page number. We'll just look at ask reputation. There we go. So we roll a D66 here, and we'll have this could be when we meet somebody, or maybe if somebody is mistaken about you. And that has some places to return to that would make sense if we were in play, but as we're just learning right now, we got to scroll up back. All right. And sometimes you have to combine them. So this is telling us how to do them with the Downcrawl book. How to do a D3 with the Downcrawl deck. We went over that. Major waypoints in the Down are called volumes. These represent the key landmarks and destinations you've discovered so far on your journeys. Each campaign will have its own unique volumes. Folk are the unique peoples of your down. Rather than a fixed set of fantasy races like elves, dwarves, gnomes, endless varieties of strange peoples can be found in the deep depths. Again, each group's down has its own unique set of folk, and there are always more to be discovered. And then it says you can use any fantasy RPG system or Sliver of Fate. Another recommended lightweight system is the Black Hack from Square Hex, which you can find for free. Now, the second edition one I think is on drive-thru for $6 for the PDF. I recommend also checking out Noble Knight. This is where I got, if you really like this is a really nice book, and it was pretty affordable. I'll link both of those as well, either when I post a video or if this video goes as long as I think it will, maybe tomorrow. Okay, so bonuses, penalties, damage. Some moves or tables ask you to add a bonus or penalty to roll in your core system. This should be a small but not meaningless adjustment. So it's saying, like, if you are doing a D20 rule set, it's a +2, a D6 is a +1, a percentile system is +10. You just sort of adjust to whatever system you're playing. If a move or table tells you to take damage, this should correspond to an annoying but not deadly consequence, perhaps 1d6 hit points for a low-level character. Now here are the modes of play. There's guided, impromptu, which is like GM-less. Solo play lets a single player generate and explore a story-driven underworld. See solo play for more details. We will go to that. So we are not going to have a guide in our solo play. You ask the tables to guide you. We are all familiar with this. Here's the flow of play. Downcrawl's moves are organized into clusters, with each support a core pillar of its gameplay. The two main pillars of the game are exploring volumes and taking journeys between them. Now, I just want to clarify right now, I'm not going to read this whole book. So those of you who are worried about me doing that, I'm only introducing the core concepts. Those of you who want me to do that, please purchase the book. I don't want to give the whole book away, but I do want people to understand, what are the basic ways to play this game, and then we'll start playing. We'll do a little bit of session 0, see what it's like to travel around. Journey moves take you through dangerous travel from one volume to another, from planning your trip to arrival. Begin with plan your journey, and then start each day of travel with a day on the march. No true rest or full recovery is possible during journeys. Volume moves help you recover from exhausting travel, explore destinations, invent interesting places, etc. And we begin with in a volume. These will be slightly adjusted, I believe, for solo play. But basically, these two moves are start your journey, progress your journey, or explore the place you are in, right? If we were in a town, plan your journey would be like mapping it out. Day on the march would be forward travel. And then in a volume would be like going around town, talking to people, going to shops, etc. A travel encounter can be triggered during a journey and creates an interesting problem, opportunity, or threat you might encounter. These might become combats if that's what your group is into, but can also be more social or situational. And I love this. Mushroom moves, much like night moves, present an optional system for finding fungus with interesting effects and distilling it into more potent but dangerous forms. For that, we use the move fungal foraging. Solo play provides additional tools to spark creativity. Where to start? Well, if you plan to play solo, start at session 0 and read up to the solo play chapter when instructed. There are also some moves in the impromptu play chapter you'll find useful. Turn to relevant chapters the first time you encounter new parts. So, let's do session 0. Get together with your group or sit down by yourself for a solo game. These steps will help seed your world and introduce you to some of the key rules and ideas in Downcrawl. All right, this chapter is divided into 3 main pieces: making your down, so creating the world, creating your characters, and beginning your story. Each is likely to take 1 to 2 hours to work through, with the last getting more into session 1 territory. Not going to take that long for us. Before you begin, the facilitator should review the list of materials and how to crawl and make sure everything needed. We have that. Find the right tone. We got that. Solo play, brainstorm. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to we'll use the deck for this. This is a really cool thing to get the story and everything going. So we're going to take the Oracle deck and we're going to deal out 10 cards that are going to be paired together. So go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we'll go from the middle of the deck here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. So we have pick one quality and put it in the center of the table. So qualities, where are those going to be found here? Quality, I haven't mastered it yet. Aspect, resource, reputation, appearance, news, quality. Find the yellow quality words. On the bottom here. Okay, so screaming, sacred, plague, fungal, royal. Okay. Flip your remaining cards over to the other side so that the Downcrawl logo is visible. Now each player picks a yellow idea and puts it in the center. So we have ooze, ghosts, abyss, beetles, sea. All right. And as a group, consider all the words, and we're going to forge some ideas. All right. And so we'll do that right now. We will go. I'm just going to pair them up. I don't care. I'll figure out an idea. There's no combination of words that can vex me. All right, so we are going to have screaming ghosts. I love that. We are going to have sacred ooze. I love that. Okay. We are going to have a plague abyss. That is so metal. I love that. We are going to have a fungal sea. Awesome. And then what is it? I think it's royal beetles. Good. So right now, this is the predominant ideas that we have. Let me move the light just a little. Let's see if I can get it out of the... There we go. Just so we could read everything. Okay. So now forge ideas. Now collaboratively join the cards, a quality and an idea that will most likely fit. Don't fully flesh out the concepts. Discuss briefly what you mean. We can steal an idea. We don't need that. As you continue through session 0, you'll have frequent chances to steal an idea from cards in the center. I see. So these are like, if you were playing in a group of 5, you know, you could have tons and tons of these out here. We can draw up some other ones if we want to. We'll start by creating some volumes. Determine the volume's first 2 details. Ask theme and ask aspect plus terrain. So we're going to get the map card, and this will be where we will list the information on the first volume here, okay? So we are going to ask theme. Let me just take a look at what this table looks like. Theme. Choose either left or right result. For roles beginning with 6, ask the reference table to complete the theme. So I think that we could probably use the cards again here. If I could just draw, if I could find theme. I thought I had a theme part of here. Maybe... Oh, yeah. Theme. Smuggler Haven or Isolationist. You know what? We'll go with both of those together. If you've ever seen The Wire, I'm thinking of like Amsterdam. This is a neutral ground smuggler haven. All right. And so basically what it's saying is like, this place is where people who maybe don't always follow the letter of the law, they can come here and they can rest easy because everyone here is a thief. Or you know what it's like? It's like the Continental in John Wick. Like, no stealing here. If that's the only rule, you cannot steal here. So it's a smuggler's haven. Now, one thing that is kind of missing here that I would like is like name generator. I wonder if there's, because names are kind of specific like that, but we could probably find something sort of interesting here. Okay, how about this? I saw right here shop and old friends, and so we'll call this shop of the old friends, and we'll spell it with that little fudge shop way that's only spelled on things when you want to make fudge sound better. SHOPPE. Shop of the old friends. Nice. This is good dungeon synth here. Swordlander. Descent, this song's called. Alright. So now, we want to... Sorry, I lost my page here. Alright. Now we have to ask aspect plus terrain. Alright, let's see if we can find aspect. Fractured. And then terrain. Badlands. That's really nice. Marry these two details and tell us your concept for this unique new place. Fractured Badlands. You know, I don't really know what Badlands are. What are Badlands? I'm gonna look. Like, I know. It's not like I've never heard that word, but do they have a specific meaning? I wonder. Let's see. Heavily eroded terrain. Okay. All right. So we have Fractured Badlands. Okay. We don't need to completely flesh it out, but establish a core concept for this volume before moving on. Name this volume. So actually, I know that I kind of skipped ahead here, but I actually think this is the second volume. We will do well to do this. So we have Fractured Badlands. I like that. And what could the name of it be? Just shuffling up here. Oh, right here. We'll call it the Lap of Luxury, sort of one of those like ironic names. So we have Lap of Luxury and Shop of the Old Friends. Those are our first two volumes. Lap of Luxury, Fractured Badlands. Okay. Oh, naming volumes. Give your volume a straightforward name based on the information. How about naming it the Icy Cat? No, we don't do that kind of thing. All right. Each volume has a remoteness. A volume can be known, sheltered, or hidden. I know that, but how do we determine like what the remoteness is? Guess we'll have to figure that out. Now you'll create a map deck card for this volume. Yep. Record the volume's name, its first two details, and leave room for 4 more. But how do we figure out how remote it is? Did it say that? I don't think it said that. But it's listed as something on there. Okay, we'll figure it out. So we have the last two details. So we can pull a theme for each of these. We have theme. If you look at this card here, there's like 2 slots for theme, terrain, resources. So we have Fractured Badlands as terrain. And then Shop of the Old Friends was what? That was something thieves, right? It was Smuggler's Haven. So I will put Smuggler's Haven as a theme. And just because I'm feeling authoritative, we're going to say that this is sort of like the terrain will be a frontier town kind of place. And a resource that they have in abundance will be information. I don't know what will be scarce here, but for the Fractured Badlands, the theme... I'm trying to see where a theme even is here. Oh, I think we know the theme is on this side, right? Theme. All right. All right. We'll do... that is not... That's the one we had before. But Crossroads, I like this. The Fractured Badlands is a type of crossroads. So essentially that means like if you want to go anywhere in this neck of the deep down, you got to go through the Fractured Badlands, and that's why people mostly keep to where they start. All right, so let's do one more here, and it would be good to pull something from here. And I like, as much as I like the Plague Abyss, I think we'll come to that later if we want to. The Plague Abyss is, so the terrain. Now I have to think about this, like an abyss. I always think an abyss has to do with water, but that might not be the case. I mean, an abyss is like a chasm, right? I'm going to the original definition. Yeah, a deep or seemingly bottomless chasm. Oh boy. What the heck was that? All right. Let's choose a new album here. That was a good one. This is an excellent album. All right. So, The Plague Abyss. And for the naming of it, I like this. I just saw giants, and so we'll call it the giant's footstep, the giant's footprint. And it is the theme of plague, and it has a terrain abyss. Now, why would somebody go to this? Right? Like, there's got to be a resource there. So I'm going to go through this till I see a resource that I like. Okay. All right. So not alchemist, but we'll say that it's a massive source of fungus that people can use to gather and create all their different tinctures and stuff like that. So I'm going to take a pause to see, just to make sure I don't bore you to tears with how many connections and how remote it is, but I'll come right back. All right, so I basically drew out the ones we have so far here. And, oh boy. Sorry, the wind guard of my microphone was coming off. Okay, so we have Shop of the Old Friends. This is listed as K4 because it's known and has 4 connections. Lap of Luxury is the same. It's that crossroads, so that's also known and has 4 connections. And then the Giant's Footprint, which is like that Plague Abyss, that's hidden with only 1 connection that is to the side of it. How did I determine remoteness? I just assigned it based on what I thought about what that place represented. And there's no distinct system here. I suppose that I could roll a 1d4 for these, but I mean, especially when you have like Lap of Luxury being a crossroads, it would make sense that it has at least 4, if not more, connections. When we visit these, what we do with like K4 for known 4, when we visit them, we'll put a box around them to signify that we have visited them before. So we make our map, and as we see, the map can get filled in with other information as, like, you know, the game progresses. The space is arbitrary, so we can sort of like, you know, the distances, the relative location, it all shifts around in the deep down because it goes with one of the core concepts of the game, which is that it's weird, it's unpredictable. All right, now, so we have some volumes here, and now we can create some folk, and you'll see that there's nothing for story deck because that is something that is introduced in the solo section only. Also, on the back of the volumes, this is like other local details that we can put. Whereas on the back of the folk deck, we can illustrate them and list any NPCs we met here. But what we're going to put is their name and summary. Their details include 2 boxes for appearance, folk concept, and reputation. So I'm just going to put this here. And let's see what we have here. All right, now you'll invent a few folk, taking turns leading their creation as before. Here's how to create a folk. First 3 details, ask appearance, folk concept, and reputation. So we can do that. Well, I'm just going to move these here so we have a little more play area. So this is used, that doesn't, just because this one was something that we put to use doesn't mean we can't use other things from the card. But I'm just kind of being, I really like this Royal Beetles thing. I like the idea of having, in fact, why don't we do that for the first folk here is the Royal Beetles. I like the idea of them maybe overseeing like the shop of the old friends. But let's get some more info about them. So appearance-wise, I mean, I'm guessing they're beetles. But shuffle it up here. All right. Appearance. That's ambiance. Am I missing something with appearance here? We have reputation, resource, aspect, appearance. Oh, it's right in here. All right. They have an enlarged head that's unusually positioned. Oh, okay. These are different ideas. It could be a large head. It could be unusually positioned, multiple, absent, or 2-sided. And so we'll say that the Royal Beetles... What does a beetle look like? I think I actually have a beetle dice somewhere here. That has a little scarab type. Yeah, I do actually. That's a beetle, right? Sort of. All right, so their head is on a weird part of their body. Let's see if we can figure that out. Looks good to me. Maybe we'll have a little... All right, so the head would normally be here. Oh, you know what we'll do? We'll do that they're like their royalty, but they have like both king and queen and princess and prince on them. They represent like the whole royal court. So there we go. Sleep tight. Let me get some. So there we go. What else? Folk concept. So now I must say that royal beetles, obviously all of them are royal. That doesn't mean they're all in charge. That's just like what the people are. And so we have appearance, then folk concept. Why do I have such a hard time? I could have sworn I just saw these. Folk concept. They have a mystic connection to, and then we'll draw terrain. There we go. They have a mystic connection to vents. So they have king plus queen heads. Mystic connection to some sort of vents. That could be vents in a building or vents that arise from the ground. And then reputation. What's their reputation? Poor. Oh, I like that. They're very poor. So these poor royal beetles. Okay. Now, I'm trying to think of maybe we don't necessarily have to assign them to a certain place yet. All right. Now, let's figure out some more here. So we have our royal beetles. Next we have, I can't deny something. I saw a lamp here, and I think it would be cool to have like sentient lamps. So let's see what else we have on here. Where's the animals? Creature. Okay, refugee lamps. So these are their folk concept. Well, let's build it out a little bit more. Their folk concept is addicted to shade. All right, so their folk concept, addicted to shade. And they have a lamp type head. All right. And can we get what's their reputation? Superstitious. Now, as fun as I think that addicted to shade is, I actually want to just try to add something in here that would make a little bit more sense. Is that to this story is if we can grab the encounter deck and figure out a type of fungus that they are addicted to, that could play into the plot. All right, so they're addicted to any bitter fungus. And we'll keep the shade incorporated here in their folk name, and we'll call them the Bitter Shades. Would they be addicted to their own name? I do like the word Bitter Shades. Candy. All right, that's the next type of fungus. Because I like Bitter Shades so much, we'll call them Bitter Shades, and we'll say that I just looked up a different type of fungus, And the next one that came up was candy fungus. So we'll say that they're addicted to any candied or sweet fungus. All right. And now, what do they look like? Let's see. How many legs do they have? I'm going to just use a dice on here. 9. Okay. So we'll say that they're sort of like a creepy crawlies, like that. And then ooh, that was way too much. Let's see. All right, what do we think about this here? There we go. All right, we have the Bitter Shades, the Royal Beetles. I think I'd like to do like a humanoid group now. And so, appearance, let's find something humanoid. Not a lot of humanoid. You know what? Actually, the first one I had was actually really nice. Shells or spines. So we could say that these are folks that are like have a sort of an exoskeleton, a shelled exoskeleton, and their folk concept. The other one I pulled up was gelatinous. I'm just thinking of like a squishy, sloppy human. I'm like, I don't know if I want to draw that. All right, let's see here. Folk concept. Oh, I forgot to look up reputation. Okay, the bitter shades are disgraced. Oh no, they're superstitious. That's right. They're superstitious. And so we'll say that these ones are disgraced. And they have an affinity for, it says either terrain or resource. The terrain I found was the edge. So we'll just say they have an affinity for the edge, living on the edge. Affinity for being edgy. All right. And their appearance are shell exterior. Let me draw them and see if that gives me a name. So what would a human with like a shelled exterior look? I guess like a Koopa Troopa. All right, so we'll start with a person here. We'll just say they're humanoid. And here's their shoulders. And we'll make them look like that weird. Have them sitting at on a bar stool here. I guess they just have like a shell backpack. It's kind of funny. Just like a low life. Maybe a shell head. Shell shoulder pads or elbow pads. All right, what do we think about this here? And then I'm thinking their names could be the Shelvins. All right, so we have a disgraced Shelvins who have an affinity for being edgy. All right. So now we have our places. Give them a name, create a folk deck card. We did it. Remember, you can always steal an idea for asking. All right, you'll need a core system to build a downcrawl campaign. Got it. Yep, we'll figure that out. Character concepts. You could start a downcrawl campaign with brand new characters or bring in existing. If you're starting with fresh characters, pause a moment to talk about what heroes you want to play. We'll figure that out. All right. So, how many are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is there only 6? Yeah, so we'll roll a d6 for this. We'll do the 2. Hunter or hunted. You seek a legendary treasure or quarry. You are hunted yourself by a beast, a relentless agent of vengeance, or the long arm of the law. If you hunt, who or what is your quarry? Why are you so driven to find it if you're the hunted who pursues you? So I think that I don't know why this occurs to me, but I think that I come down from a place that's pretty high up on the deep. In fact, some people say that my people are so high up that some of them have even been out to the surface, but a lot of people think that's just junk because nobody's been to the surface. It's so far away. It's so far away, that's like saying that you found a stairwell that goes to Mars, right? But that's what some people say. And so I'm thinking every one of my people are sheriffs. It's like a society of who's the guy, Sam, what's his name, from the beginning of Big Lebowski, who's like, sometimes you eat the bar and sometimes the bar eats you. And so all of us are the long arm of the law. And so we come down here because somebody has smuggled in some sort of fungus up to my people that has them utterly addicted. And the effect of this fungus, you know, among other things, is that it makes you no longer have any respect for the law. And so, let's see here. Give me some boots. There we go. Get some tails on that. And we probably got like that little vest. And maybe some belt supplies here. Maybe a holster. And some nice boots. And real straight shooter. I don't know how to make cowboy boots, but we'll do it. There we go. All right. So, get rid of that. Looks like a diaper. All right. So that's my star. So we'll say that my name is Jorma Hacksaw. My name's Jorma Hacksaw. I come from way up top. So far away you don't even know the name of it. I had a cousin who got married to somebody who lived up on the surface. It's true. I did. I went to the wedding. Well, I went to the service. I didn't get invited to the actual, you know, but it don't matter. What I say is the truth. All right. Maybe give a lasso here as well. And yes, I am aware that this sort of looks like a Union soldier a little bit. All right. So there's Jorma Hacksaw. And I'm up there because I'm looking for whoever done whoever done started smuggling. We keep clean account of all the fungus, and so one of y'all is part of a smuggling trade that's bringing up button fungus. All right. So the people up there, they call it butt. But I don't like that. I feel like it's suggestive. And it's called button. You can know it because it's got a cross and a distinct face. Looks like it's laughing at you and laughing at the fine society you put together. We had a nice thing going, and then one of y'all brought up that button, and suddenly our mayor the other day was jaywalking, put to death. So I come down here to find whoever been pushing that butt. Now don't laugh, I'm serious. All right, so we got that button fungus. What else we got? What volume are we starting in? Well, I would say, as much as I want to put this guy right into the shop of the old friends, I probably have to have him pass in the lap of luxury looking for the shop of the old friends. What's something we each love or hate about this place? Well, since there's only one of me, I'll say we hate being down here because maybe we feel that like closer to the surface means more civilized, you know. And we can't stay here because we don't want to stay here. So we have 2 tack. Now, tack is something that you could get official coins for, and I lust after them. But since I have all of these skull dice that are beautiful in color and I never get to use them for nothing, we'll count them not as dice but as tack chips here. I absolutely love the color of these. They're like, I don't even know if you can see it like on the camera. They have this like incandescent like grape. Some of them, they're all like different. Beautiful. Anyway, so we'll start with 2 tack. All right. And tack is spent during journeys to ensure successful arrival. If you run out, you'll get lost. We probably have to adjust our tack since it's just us. Fully define the starting volume. All right, so let's go. All right, Fully define your starting volume by asking for its other core details: theme, aspect, terrain, and resource. So just because I'm going to just use the tables here so we can inch a little bit closer. So theme. I know I said I would roll with the rubber dice, but I'm kind of scared of them. No, they're right here. All right. So, theme. 24. Great city. There we go. That makes sense. No, it doesn't make sense. Lap of Luxury was a great city. It's since been desolated, but it's still got the remains of a city on it. See, that's teaching me a lesson. I shouldn't have filled this in so much. All right, so then we need another terrain. Unless a special terrain here, migration route. Yep, I'm going to do that. And I'll give myself another terrain. $63. Ashlands. Okay. Fractured Badlands and Ashlands. So there was some sort of volcanic eruption or something here. And then, let's see. Oh, wait a minute. How does it say decide remoteness? Did I miss that there? Decide its remoteness. No, once again, it just says decide it. Where are we here? Just want to look at tack again. Oh, is that in the area I'm not supposed to be in yet? All right. Aspect terrain. Oh, and then resource. What resource can we find here? Oh, yeah. I don't have any resources for the 11. Air. So it gives all the air to all the lands, which is in short supply, honestly. Reroll on its side. Oh, sorry. Should be doing this. 16. Cruelty. Oh, I love that. All right. So there's no shortage of air and cruelty. And I'm just going to take a minute here to clean up this area before we get on into it. Okay, so we're going to start right here. Materials and moves needed. In addition to the standard materials for solo play, you'll probably also want to have a notebook or text file handy. Got it. Here's an index to all the solo moves as well as impromptu moves, which might be helpful. Ask the oracle, find inspiration, set the scene, focus, bookmark the story, resume the story. So just to clarify, if you were playing with a GM or a guide, all of these moves would be like you saying, for instance, you could say, oh, I want to try and find a resource. And then you'll say, I want to try to find a resource. I want to see if there's something here that's abundant. And the guide will respond saying whether or not, you know, you can, if that resource is there, how much of it is. And tack is sort of the currency that you use to spend to get more information, and then you have to do other things to get more tack. So with solo play, obviously, we don't have the guide, or we are the guide. So the moves are a little bit different. So we could always ask the oracle, find inspiration, set the scene, focus, bookmark the story. That's only when we're wrapping up the session. Ah, man. You know, I forgot this about, like, Ironsworn and Starforged. I don't need a move to, like, stop playing. I could just... I know that I could just close the book. Anyways, it is good information with those in terms of, like, there's some guidance to, like, lead you off when you start again. Greeting stranger when you meet a new character, trading questions to get an NPC better, and ask the story deck to reintroduce an element into your story. So now we have to make a story deck. And this tracks major plot threads, important NPCs, and other recurring elements of your subterranean saga you don't want to forget. During play, some cards from your story deck will be spread out in front of you. These are your active story cards representing elements of the story currently in play. They're like visible scaffolding for the narrative you're making, helping you keep the building blocks straight and focus on what's most important right now. The face-down cards in your story deck are off-screen for now, but might return to your story someday, often when you least expect. It's helpful to keep the map deck card for your current volume and the folk deck card for any folk you're currently dealing with or any, in front of you. All right. Whenever a new character, group, locale, question, or conflict comes up that seems likely to matter, create a story card. Grab a blank index card, write a name or short phrase at the top, and place it face up with your active story cards. Leave room to add notes. When you bookmark the story at the end of a session, or whenever your play space is getting too cluttered, you'll assess active story cards to see if any should be discarded or returned to the story deck. Certain solo moves will tell you to ask the story deck, which reintroduces a dormant element back into your narrative. Make this whenever you want a twist. When you feel like pulling the story back toward familiar characters and themes or want a twist in your tale, draw 3 cards from your story deck. Whoa. More than 3 cards. All right. Consider which would be most compelling to bring back. Make your I suppose after you're playing for a while, you'll have more than 3. Make your chosen card active. Decide how this part of your tale rejoins the telling and continue play. So I guess maybe I'll play up to the point that we can make a story card, just so that you can, if you want to play solo, you'll have an idea how to go from like 0 to at least this. Once you get the first story card down, I think you'll be able to run it. Okay. For these players, you can ask the oracle. Got it. All right. These are all tools we could use, but I'm seeing like, what's the first move here? Okay, starting a solo campaign. So, follow the instructions in session 0. We did that. Seeding a third deck of index cards go along the story deck. Like I said, I did these I just made them by putting like text files in a PDF document here, and then I added these boxes so that we could see where we are in the story arc by checking them off. And then I did add these things to it, like so your drive or the people, places, philosophies. So I just wrote like drive, unused ideas. Please don't ask me for these in the comments because I just put stuff over it. This is Aaron Reed's stuff. This is for my own personal use. Like Aaron created this template, so I can't like give away my cards on his template. Something you hope to find, an old vow. Put these cards face down in front of you along with your map and folk decks. Now return to beginning your story in session 0 chapter to start your adventure. So is that where we're going right now? Beginning my story. Return here once you're done. The curtain rises. You'll begin with your characters gathered together somewhere in your agreed upon starting volume. To establish what this place looks like and feels like, play your first move. Set a scene. Turn to the page indicated and follow the given instructions. Return here once you're finished. So this is page 27. All right. When you want more detail about the world around you, okay. When you want more detail about the world around you, what do you see here? Anyone who needs an idea can find inspiration or draw from the Downcrawl deck using any word available to inspire. Let's just see here. When you need a prompt to help inspire you, ask one of the following questions: quality, idea, action, prop, resource. Okay. I'm not sure. I could probably use the cards to just summon up something fun here. Anyone can start to improvise. That's right. And it's even stranger. We'll also see. Okay. All right. So let's just use the deck here. And actually, I put the 5 idea cards aside so that I can mainly use these to generate ideas. So we have like the 5 ones that we put together. And we don't have to like, just because this says Royal Beetles on it doesn't mean we have to like base everything around that. But I thought just like lowering the amount of inputs we have will make it a little bit more so that I have like sometimes putting boundaries around choices helps us to be more productive and increase our creativity. All right, so we are in the the lap of luxury, which is these badlands, these ashlands. It used to be this thriving megalopolis, and now it's reduced to ash, okay? And so here I am, Jorma Hacksaw, middle name Jolly, Jorma Jolly Hacksaw. And what do I see around me? Well, I see a pond. It's a square pond, which means that this is probably some city fountain or something like that, right? But it's stranger than that because there's no water in there. It's actually filled with ooze. That's right. It's filled with some sort of ooze. It's gelatinous. It's purple. It's bubbling and gurping. It's even sizzling, which you can't tell if that's from heat or from some sort of acidic, scalding acid. And we also see somebody. Well, no, we'll keep. We'll wait till it gives us like person meeting moves. We'll also see turn to a new aspect of this place. We turn to our right and we see massive pillars. There's these massive pillars, and they lead up. There's almost like a forest of pillars. They have no ceiling to them, but they're so tall they look like redwood trees, but they're all granite, okay? And so it appears that this was some sort of maybe a center area that used to house like a lot of commercial skyrise buildings, probably a lot of wealthy people. This was like a center quad that was shared by a bunch of companies called like Intertrobe LLC and people were bustling about and using their BlackBerry phones or whatever the equivalent of this is in the deep, deep down. And then that all changed. We don't know why, but it's quiet. We can hear the footsteps. And I guess there was one that was made for solo players here that we could have gone to. It looks about the same. All right, now we're satisfied with that. And I want to just make sure that I'm showing the right order of operations. I would think that the next thing that we would do is like do an encounter, but let's see here. All right, you'll begin with your characters gathered around. To establish, turn to the page indicated. Return here once you're finished. All right. A spot of trouble. If you already had an initial challenge or obstacle in mind, skip to the next paragraph. If you don't, play What's the News once or twice to get some local gossip here that you might want to get involved with or investigate. So we want to be moving through, but we should have something that is happening right now. It can't just be silent. So we have ambiance, place, and news. So we'll do ambiance. Urban ambiance is probably the right one. We could use either, though. All right, private. Place. Castle. I like that. News. Odd new boss or owner. All right, I like this now. So in the midst of all this, there's this castle, and there's somebody there that's odd new boss or owner. Ask news and choose a sensible detail of this volume. Let's see what ask news is. I think we just got that, right? With odd new boss or owner. Yeah, right here. So that would be 4 or 5. This is the only thing. I wish there was like a back button, but I know that's maybe asking a little too much. All right. So we have once the news. Once you have an initial situation worth pursuing, create your first venture to represent it. Ventures help you track challenges that will likely require multiple steps. Turn to the Ventures chapter and follow the instructions. Talk in character about your venture and how each of you feels you might go about advancing it. Keep in mind your drives. What are my drives? Well, I want to arrest whoever's pushing the button. That's going to be endlessly fun. So basically, this is like creating like mission steps, I think. All right, so let's do... I really want to meet this person. I know there's going to be steps for putting together an NPC, but I'm just trying to follow an order here. Summarize the challenge. Decide on the scope of this challenge. Draw a column. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah, so it's a little bit longer term. I don't think we have enough for a venture yet because I need to meet people and I need to understand what's going on here. All right, I'm going to pause for just a second. All right, so I think the appropriate thing to do right here actually would be to do a travel encounter. This castle seems to be important for some reason, but we don't have to be married to it. And we're trying to really find the shop of the old friends. So we're either looking for a passage or looking for someone who could direct us or see anyone who knows anything about this button fungus. And usually I would say that something like this, we would choose a different encounter perhaps, but here let's just do a challenge. And our situation, something is very wrong with the gravity, competing ferry boats crossing a foul-smelling river, wizard's tower built in a natural feature, that's possible, onyx automaton in pieces along with assembly instructions. Okay. So we'll do the wizard's tower built into a natural feature. And we'll say that on the balcony of this castle comes out somebody who is saying, "Are you looking to cross?" It's like, "Cross what?" "Cross to the other side." "Well, I didn't think I had to ask permission or instructions to do so." It's like, "Can you see the way through?" "Well, no, I can't, but I don't understand how that implies that I need your advice, especially someone up on a balcony shouting down for me, and you're the first person I saw in about 2 days' time." And so the threat is companions. All right, and the opportunity here. Perfect. Journey's End, a new detail about your destination. I said, "Now look here. I'm looking for one of two things. I'm either looking for who's pushing the button, or who's where I could find shoppity old friends." It's like, "Oh, I wouldn't go to the shop if I were you. You look like, the short arm of the law." And Jorma, thinking that has something to do with his height, is like, "Excuse me, I'm 5'9.5". Says, "Right. Well, anyways, I am the one pushing the button." "Is that right?" And I put my hand near my 6-shooter, and I said, "Well, I need you to come down then if you're the one pushing the button." And they say, "Well, I would rather just push the button." And I'm said, kind of confused. And all of a sudden I realize we're talking about two different buttons. Boink! Pushes a button. Door slides open in the castle. And out comes some companions of this person. They're walking towards me, and we could even draw on this idea of these onyx automatons. And as they get closer and closer and closer, I pull out my weapon. I said, now halt. In the name of the law, you need to halt." And just as they raise their arms up, they suddenly fall into about 10 different pieces. And I still got my gun drawn. And I'm going, "Now what in the hell is this?" And this wizard now floats down from the balcony and says, "It's quite lonely here, and my automatons, they're broken. They were supposed to come out and greet you. They do a whole ceremony when we have guests, and I haven't had guests in, I think, years. Anyways, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for all the trouble. You could pass right through." It's like, no. Wait a minute. You're telling me that these automatons meant no harm to me? Of course not. They're friendly automatons. But I just wish... Oh, never mind. And of course, now what is it? Well, there's a special glue that can be made from a fungus. And if you can find this fungus, which is called mud fungus, it turns into a paste. And this paste, it can repair any mechanical parts that are broken. Now, what we would have to do here is we would have to, unless we were using the Fate system, we'd have to invoke whatever system we were using to determine, our ability to overcome, whether that would be a check or a test or a save or what. But any which way, I think that at this point, you should have enough in your holster to start your own adventure. And every time I am blinking, my eyes go, "Stay like that, go to sleep." So I think, like Seinfeld, I'm going to go out, I'm still on top of the ratings. This is Downcrawl, Aaron A. Reed, Second Edition and First Edition, which I think is... I haven't had as much time with it because the Second Edition came so fast, but they both look awesome. And in fact, for how affordable they are, why not get both? And the First Edition, I think, is a pretty good summary of how to play. And let me know if you've played the Black Hack, if you want to see some more about that. Otherwise, it's been a pleasure. Thank you again for CryoCrypt for providing the music, and for Aaron A. Reed for this awesome game. All right, everybody. Well, that concludes this man alone hour. Oh my gosh, the preview didn't go away. Are you kidding me? Whatever. I gotta update this list. Hey, if you're supposed to be on this list, say something. I gotta update it.